As promised, I'm going to do a quick flip through of my onion skin journal just to quickly share with you my progress with it. Now, just to let you all know, I don't use this journal on a daily basis, or at least as much as I wanted to. I would say I am still acclimating in a way because, to be very honest, it can be quite challenging for me to work on a paper that is very translucent. It's not my usual kind of journal. I'm very used to the kind of journal that I can really mess around with, and for this particular journal, I feel that I've been abusing it quite a bit with my journaling style. But I'll show you my most honest review, I guess, as I go along. So for the cover, I wasn't really planning on getting the white because, as you can see, I'm going to stain it, but eventually I caved. I just really like how pristine it looks, and I figured, if I got it all stained, might as well create something out of it. At least after I filled it out, I just kind of like paint it or do whatever with it later on. But I'd figure it out later.
Alright, so from here onwards, let me walk you through how I filled up the first few pages. So on the first page, I tried to keep it simple. This card is from a purchase from Mindful Hookup. And on the next page, as you can see, there's a lot of layers of paper here. My idea is to keep the message from the back of the card slightly visible.
Here. And also I remembered I had this postcard from another friend from Instagram that was sent to me, and I really love it, but I just feel that I'm not giving it I feel like I wanted to honor that gift by adding it into, like, giving it a space in my journal. And initially I would want to like do a tip in style for this, but I've decided to just like stick it in. So in this, I figured, because this type of paper is translucent, I'd be able to still see the message. So that's what I did there. And then also another collage work. I use a lot of recycled paper, and I'm very particular about the neutrals and the vintage style. I've been also experimenting various styles in this journal, so I was thinking about playing around with vintage, keeping the vintage style, and then I've had this separate journal where I've had this quotes in stamped this way, quotes and affirmations stamped this in this style. I figured I might as well bring in and integrate it into this journal, and I'm happy in a way, but again, this journal is something that makes me really want to explore what it can do for me, what I can do with it. The ink, I'm using a fountain pen ink, and what I especially like about this journal is I like this sort of stressing it, and sometimes because it's so translucent and you play around on the other side, sometimes it's hard to read. But then I figured, maybe this is a perfect journal to use when I just wanted to, express myself without the intention of like looking back and reading it all over again. Because I rarely do that. Every time, and I guess in a way it's perfect for me because every time I go back to my old journals, I tend to cringe reading through my old notes. So this one, it becomes like an artwork for me that I will just, visually enjoy every time I look back, but I don't generally need to read all the things that I said in that particular journal. But whatever I write in here, this is actually mostly note-taking from the oracle card reading that I've been using. This one, to be honest, is a do-over. I made a mistake because I was getting really excited. I was using the Diatramentis document white ink here, and I kind of like how the effect of the white distressed ink play on this particular page, and I wanted to, kind of like mixed in with the rubber stamp, plus the stamping, the rubber stamping, and the paint. I just really like the effect. Now going back here, I made a mistake. I had to put another layer of paper on top to write all over again, because I played around with paint, and you can see I intentionally did not stick, glue everything, glue all the cover and all that, because I really wanted to have a moment to remember that this part here, I made a mistake, and it's okay. I can, I'm trying to adapt a more forgiving approach, in a way that every time I look at it, it's okay. I can always make mistakes whenever I use this journal. So yeah, so there. And then it's lots and lots of writing initially here, and I just feel like there's something missing in this page, and I thought that why not add some tip-ins, ephemera, just to kind of break the monotony that plays around this particular page. And this is during the time I was super inspired by Shabby Soul. I really love her work, the way she distressed her style, and this is actually inspired by some of the work that she does, especially the junk journals that she creates. Moving on to the next page. So yeah, I don't really follow a certain orientation. Sometimes I write this way, sometimes I flip through it and do it this way. So there's generally no rules whenever I play around with this one. And for this one, usually when I do my collage, I use up an entire page, but this time around, I've decided might as well take advantage of the ghosting on the page prior to this. So I just thought maybe I could use it as a backdrop, and it worked. I just played around. This is more in a neutral scheme, but it works. It's okay. This is when you really would try to plan it out for the next page. So here, I feel like I made another mistake because I stamped, and I put a stamp here, and I don't know if it's about the ink or the way I stamped it, but it's actually supposed to be an eye, but the paint just spread out, and it has some kind of an effect on the ink, on the fountain pen ink in my writing here. It's okay. Again, this is, I'm trying my best really to adapt a more forgiving approach whenever I use this journal. So following through on the style, on the layout style, I also try to adapt that here and in the coming pages. It actually evolves, and it's when I try my best to really play around with negative spaces like this. It's really hard because my style had always been more leaning towards maximalist style, but it works. I like it. Again, it's more of really leveraging on what I have on the previous page, like this particular stump work. So when you look at it on the other side, it has that it seeps through to the next page. I really like the idea that every page is somewhat connected before you transition to the next page. So again, going back to my other journaling style, with my other notebooks, I added in some affirmations. I really like this style because, every time like I look at the entire page, it's the first thing I see. It's the first thing that catches my attention. So I really want to be more consistent on this particular journaling style and layout. However, it's also the journal where I'd like to keep exploring different styles and different ways to play around my journal. Also, if you notice, I keep adding washi tapes in the middle, and that is basically to support the spine. As you can see, it starts to loosen up. Let me go back to the flip through again. So I forgot to mention earlier that this journal comes with this particular board to help you write. And for the most part, I would write with the entire page maximized. So this one I wasn't very happy, but for some reason it's also growing on me how I put together all these bits and pieces. And then I've decided to try out the garden window just to kind of showcase and frame the skeleton here, the skeleton stamp here. Working on this journal made me appreciate trying to work with less, because my style had always been leaning towards maximalism. But for this particular journaling style, I'm really trying so hard to appreciate the negative spaces. So this time I went for a little change in my journaling style, and this one I added more color from the usual neutral. So this one I played around with a hint of green. I'm just basically using up stuff, using ephemera stuff that I rarely use. Lots of deep ends here. It has always been my journaling style. And this one, an ephemera from Fujifilm. It's just a very simple layout. Again, I made another mistake here. So I wasn't very happy with how I did on the previous page. So I just covered it up, collaged and covered it up. Decided to play around with some inks. This is when I started using inks, splotches like a watercolor. And this one's a yellow one. Here I started incorporating watercolor to help distress the page. And another page that's one of my favorite too. So this one is from an old watercolor artwork or demo. And I figured might as well create a painting out of it. So I've played around with the tones that I like, which is sepia and different shades of brown. Yeah. So that's it. I turn to this journal every time I do my oracle reading, tarot reading. So it's becoming more or less a book of shadows for me. But I don't read tarot or oracle cards on a daily basis. Only when I'm feeling the need for it, and then I usually just grab this notebook.